Center for Entertainment Education, the Third Eye, is a joint collaboration between Hollywood Health and Society, which is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Who we are exactly? We are a bridge between creative communities and the priorities of our times. Our main partners here are the Hollywood Health and Society, which is part of the Norman Lear Center, and the University of Southern California Annenberg School of Communication. We cater to writers' demands, as in when they want to have some research background on our work. These inquiries are handled by email, by Skype, person-to-person meetings, and as in how it is convenient to the groups. We also have something very interesting called the Story Bus Tours, where we take the entire group of interested creative people on a destination which they have, which has been discussed before. We also have writers' briefings. This is one such briefing where what we do is we bring together a panel of experts from various fields and we discuss important issues in the area of health mostly, but social, legal and other things which are connected to directly to the work. We have screenings of films. We support filmmakers who get in touch with us. We have an interested group which comes, and we have a resource person from the field who has extensive experience. We have conferences. We also are planning a film festival and an award ceremony. First of all, Anuradha Tandon. She has a background of economics, and after being a news representative at Doordarshan, she went on to head the film department at Rediffusion. She has made many advertising films. She is a creative consultant. Our next panelist is Kalpana Lajmi. She doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to give one. She's a film director, producer and screenwriter, and she's very well known for her women-oriented films. She's the daughter of the painter Lalita Lajmi and the niece of acclaimed filmmaker Guru Dutt. Her film Rudali in 1993 won critical acclaim and a national award for Dimple Kapadia, who played the lead role. Her next film was Dharmiya, which was directed and produced by her. That movie starred Kiran Kher and Tabu in pivotal and influential women's roles. In 2001 came Daman. It was distributed by the Indian government and was highly acclaimed by critics. This was the second time that an actress won a National Film Award for Best Actress under Lajmiji's directorial hand. This time it was Raveena Tandon. We are very proud to say that her next project is something which we are working on together with her at ACE, the Third Eye. I'm very proud to introduce a very unique personality who is a practicing gynecologist, medico-legal expert and a health rights activist. This is Dr. Nikhil Datar. He is a consultant gynecologist at Nanavati Hospital. He is a director of the Datar Wellness Group. He is also honorary gynecologist and unit head, also teaching at postgraduate centers at the Cooper Hospital. He is the founder president of Patient Safety Alliance, an NGO that works on empowering patients and supporting healthcare professionals to prevent medical errors. He is the one who fought the famous case of Nikita Mehta, which was in the papers, which challenged the MTP Act in 2008. Along with the NGO Sehat, he has developed a gender-sensitive protocol and examination and evidence collection of survivors of sexual assault.
And first, I must thank all of you for being here and being a part of our process. It's still, although we started way back in 2012, I think we're still at the beginning stages of bringing in a sort of way of life to our, or a kind of a culture within our working spaces. And as we go forward, it evolves. And the more interactions like this we have, it gets better and better. And we all know, all of us here, that we are at a very interesting cusp at the moment in terms of everything in India. And therefore also in terms of entertainment. The cusp is where we now know the huge outreach of entertainment, the media, digital outreach. We know, the numbers fly at us from everywhere, wherever we read anything. 83 crore people in India under the age of 35, out of which 63 crore are under the age of 25, and 53 million viewers of general entertainment channels, which has gone down in the last 3 months, which is really a dramatic thing, to 23 million. viewers. Internet has taken over a huge chunk of television. So while all those numbers keep flying around all over the place, we do realize that what we realize at ACEE is that yes, those are huge numbers, that's big numbers of people, but yet there are 63%, there is 63% of India which lives in the dark, which does not get electricity. 750 million people who still do not have any idea that there is a media that exists in our world. Whether it's a telephone, it's a radio, whether it's a cinema or it's television. So there is that side to it as well. But what has really reached the rest of the country, which is at the receiving end of our media, is creativity. And I think it's the creativity of the world of entertainment which is going to take us to even those far reaches where yet there is no media. And therefore that cusp that we are at this point is for us to realize the power of creativity and the power of storytelling and what it can do and how it can propel the efforts that I think the government and all non-governmental organizations are making off the ground and on the ground. And it's been understood and realized that storytelling actually helps people learn much faster than education. So as we understand that, the reason for these panels, for these kind of interactions becomes more and more important. And the marriage of people like Dr. Datar with people like Kalpana and Anuradha Tandon and Sophie and Tripti Yu, all of us working along with his knowledge and understanding and being able to kind of bring accuracy to the subjects that we are telling stories about, George, you, all of us. It would really be, I think, the next dramatic turn for India to take. Because the consumption of entertainment in this country is much more than the consumption of entertainment in the entire world.
It's huge.
It's huge. So that is their school, that is their college, that is their educational system.
I remember it's not that long ago, it's only in the 90s that the skies opened up with Sky TV, you know, the Chinese guy who came in and put Star World and all on our shores. I digress there, but there's an interesting aspect. When we talk about Indians being the biggest consumers, the first independent guy who went out with channels was this Chinese fellow, I've forgotten his name, but he brought Star TV. Of course, he lost a lot of money and sold out to Rupert Murdoch. But his focus was, he thought since Chinese are the maximum number of people in the world, and they're all over the world, not just in China, that if he starts Chinese channels, independent channels for entertainment, the Chinese in the US, the Chinese in India, the Chinese in UK, the Chinese in Uganda, anywhere will subscribe to that channel and he'll make money. And then he also started India because India is another big migrant population, but his focus was not India at all. He was not even interested in India. And guess what happened? The Chinese, you know, we say we are kanjoos, but the Chinese refused to spend money on an independent channel and Star took off in India. And there was another fabulous side effect that happened there. Everywhere in the world, I'm talking about every first world country, has unoriginal programming by and large. American TV shows are just dubbed into German, Ukrainian, whatever, and you know, they hardly have any original programming. They tried doing the same thing here, if you remember. Bold and Beautiful in Hindi,
Yeah.
I Dream of Jeannie in Hindi, and we are the fantastic anomaly. We refused to accept dubbed program, which is how he lost money, because he could not make unoriginal programming work. And what do you know? Now we have Z and, you know, all that kind of thing. So I'm just talking off the top of my head. I haven't planned this thing at all, but in an indirect way, I'm just telling you, there is a power to media.
Yes.
And when the skies first opened up, I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, we were so worried till then, how is education going to reach any part of this country? So I just thought, I said, you know, you have this little farmer who doesn't know anything. For him, Udan Khatola meant Ram. Can you imagine putting him in front of a TV and there's Neil Armstrong walking on the moon and in Hindi is being explained? I mean, he's going to be mind blown and not know that it's true or not true, but then he's seeing real human beings, and you've suddenly catapulted his mind into a sophistication. Within a few months, he's accepting learning about geography, history, the contextual thing of the world. You don't even have to try and do anything. Just any information is a gateway to his mind.
Yes.
You know, I remember thinking this and saying, what is going to be the reaction of a guy who's only heard the Ramayana and seen mythologicals or Mithun or, you know, whatever, suddenly seeing real things on the news. I mean, it's really going to be mind-blowing, and it is educational. So yes, I think it can be used in very powerful ways. As we saw, Hum Log, the big explosion of television before the colored skies, Hum Log was based on what had happened in Mexico. And they had put a lot of messaging and created this daily soap. Our first daily soap was based on theirs, and then you had Ashok Kumar come at the end and give you a little homily. And yet it was pure entertainment. So that was very different to the FD kind of messaging.
Oh, yeah.
Complete contrast. You could have a daily soap which had good fun in it and yet carried a message. I think Balika Vadhu, for example, on
Yes.
colors. So there are programs that just so long as you even attach something that's happening in the world at that point, you know, whether you take rape or you take the misuse of a cell phone, if you just put characters in there that use it as part of their lives, it doesn't have to be a heavy-handed story. I think that's where we failed from independence doing the FD route. Because that was the most boring way of telling anybody. That wasn't a story, that was a hathoda.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
tang, hamara baat suno. And in very boring voices. And then Indira Gandhi went. So everybody went out to cigarette break. So yeah, so now I've rambled, but I think where the blend of two fields comes together is we have to have a responsibility. You can have, I'm as much a consultant to somebody I can be as he can be. I can help structure the story. Even if I can write for myself, I can help. There's some people who are able to help other people structure stuff. I'm one of those kinds of people. He knows the field. So if supposing I want to put somebody in my story, the difference between the past and what can happen in the future is you do it with social responsibility. There's a thought that comes to my mind about how upset I was once. It's a good 10 years ago. There was a program I remember called Bhavar or something, which had real stories in it, real crimes. And TV18 was making the programs. I remember contacting the people because there was this program on the rape of a girl, and I was so angry seeing that on television because though it was supposed to be a socially conscious half-an-hour episode, it was either unwittingly or subversively damaging to a woman because the rape itself was more important than the crime. And there were shots and more shots of the threshing of the leg and the expression on the men's faces and the violence towards the women, which in fact became positive for any sadomasochist watching to say, yes, I need to do this because this is really exciting. You know, the screams, that's the whole point of rape, that there is it's a power play. So if you show the power play part of it, you are not doing any good. So that's what I mean by social responsibility. When you use a subject in your drama, use it in a way that is positive. Sure, pander to the masses, tell your story in a way where you have to maroro taroro it a little bit to be commercial. But for God's sake, don't tell it in a way where it actually damages the cause and becomes more exciting to somebody who's the villain than somebody you're trying to talk to and say, I'm there to help you, or this is the avenue, you know. So you're not telling her this is the avenue, but you're showing her a character that deals with her rape. Even though she's broken, she fights back. So it tells the other one, I can fight back. Yeah. My friend didn't fight back, so she'll go to her friend and say, you should fight back, you know, it is possible to fight back. So you create social change just by that. And so therefore you need experts in their fields, once you've written your story or you've got an idea, to go to them and say, medically what's correct here? It's just like when you write an essay. you want to, you're learning English and you're learning Hindi and you write an essay and you write about food, you'll turn to your teacher or you'll turn to your mother and say, how do I say tasty in a better word? And she'll say delicious, sumptuous. You're learning the language. It's the same way. If I'm talking about a medical problem, let me learn the language from the guy and then say it in the words of my character's voice. So, that's where I need the blend of expertise. So, I may not know the best way to do it. I may have the right heart and say, this character should do this. But be smart and figure out how to make her speak in the language that belongs to that character.
And to extend her thought a little forward, our experience on incubation of a few projects which the team at the Third Eye is working on has been that the minute you bring an expert in touch with a writer, one is the information part of it, which has
explosion of creative ideas.
Yes, there is so much of an enrichment that takes place to the storytelling itself from that point of view that it also really helps a lot. But before I move to Kalpana and I then go forward to Dr. Datar, I am going to digress a bit because to tell you guys a little incident that happened yesterday. We were caught in a little bit of a crisis because Lynn was supposed to be on this panel and she had a personal emergency, so at the last minute we had to get people on board, and we had Anuradha scheduled we have a 12-month schedule for these briefings. Anuradha scheduled for our April briefing and Kanta Advani was scheduled for the March briefing. So my first instinct was to call both of them and ask them who can step in within a notice of less than 24 hours. And I first called up Kanta Advani and I said, Kanta, can you step in? Because she was the next one in line in any case. And she had an idea of what I was talking about, because Anuradha we had still not gone to and spoken to about what this is. And she said, oh my God, I would have loved to. I know you're in a crisis, but I have this problem. But tell me what is happening. So I said, this is about maternal and child health, and we are addressing an audience of writers and creative people who would like to know how we can marry, accuracy and factual information with storytelling, and we're just going to have an open discussion. So she said, how do you intend to do that? I said, by bringing experts and writers together. She says, time kiske paas hai? When you are on air with a TV show, कौन से writer के पास 5 मिनट हो गए किसी expert के पास बैठने के लिए? So I said, yeah, Kanta, but we are trying to change what the story is. She says, you want to do good to the world? What about the good to people like us? I've had a guy get up from his shadi ka mandap the minute his pheras were over and come back to work. That is the pace and the speed at which our industry actually runs. Which is why we now at the Third Eye exists, and that's really the place we're giving writers the freedom to come in and ask for it free on demand, of course. But we are still a small entity. Fact of facts is, in the real world, where what we are really talking about, a writer has no access to research, has no funds for research, has no funds for writing, has no funds for development, doesn't know how long he or she has to wait for a project to get commissioned and okayed. And the minute a studio or a channel wants it, they want it right then. So then you're on the roller coaster and there is no time for research. You understand? And that is what Kanta was referring to, because it is a genuine issue that writers face. And of course, then I called Anuradha, and Anuradha, as usual, she's been like the best friend I've ever had, said, of course you're in trouble, I'm coming.
Of course, at that point, I didn't know I didn't know exactly what the topic was. I only discovered that on the way here. And I was like, really? So I said, I'm just getting there, we'll figure it out.
So, having put that in perspective, Kalpana, I call you a survivor. And I have seen you working now. I've known you for 20 years now. And I've seen her working from trudging or plodding on from one project to another. And she knows what it takes to do what you really want to do as a filmmaker from your heart. So there are these things happening which I think are going to change the kind of thing. But, you have stuck it out and done the work that you want to do and believe in. And each one of your films, in some way or the other, have addressed a very, very intense social issue. And you've gone down to the deep end of every single story to kind of bring it out and talk about those things.
It's strange, the way one has been actually nurtured in Bombay in terms of cinema. One was not really trained or taught how to address real social issues. When I remember when I decided to make films, I was hardly 14 or 15. And if you ask me what did I want to say, I don't think I even knew what I wanted to say. And I went to my uncle, Shyam Benegal at that time, and I said, do you think we should, can you help me about making a film? And he laughed. He said, the most important part of making cinema is storytelling. If you feel very, very strongly about something, only then decide that you want to take up cinema. And if you feel very strongly about it, learn to tell whatever you have to tell, real or fictional. He didn't use the word entertaining. He said in a way in which you capture the audience. To him, that unfortunately or unfortunately, that's a school I joined, the Benegal School, which was the school of social realism. But he clearly made me understand at that young age that if I do not entice the audience and I don't convey to them the beauty of tragedy or comedy, nothing that you want to state will affect the mind of that audience. So it was a very long journey for me because Vinta, I will tell you, today these boys are so lucky who are working with you, and you're so fortunate that you've opened this whole platform, which even Sophie has done. We didn't even know what kind of enlightened finance we could approach, because I've always said that it's enlightened finance which has its ramification on enlightened cinema. And 60s, 70s, 80s and even 90s, our mainstream Indian cinema just completely veered away and steered away from anything real. So if we were addressing issues, which today the topic is of maternal health or child care, I don't think if we look back, we would really find anything outstanding in the narrative that would explain to an audience what the female protagonist was going through. I remember there were issues where a doctor would enter and he would hold the wrist of the lady and then look very grim, wouldn't even state it in front of her because it was horrific to even mention that you're pregnant, and he would go out and whisper to the father. And mind you, that's a child in wedlock. It's not a child out of wedlock.
Or it was तुम्हारे घर में एक मेहमान आने वाला.
Oh, मेहमान आने वाली है. Yeah, बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
छोटा मेहमान.
Chota, preferably chota, not choti. Yeah. So we have come a long way from then till today. And to be very honest, I was talking to Vinta, whom I respect a lot, and her views. I have not been a very avid television viewer to know the growth of presentation of real issues on TV. But in cinema, there is a huge spurt, I would say from 2000 to 2014, that's the last 15 years. I mean, the latest example is that wonderful film called Vicky Donor, where we wouldn't have even been able to speak about the sperm, and here you have a young man who's the leading man of the film walking with a little plastic box which obviously looks like sperm, and Playboys, and it was so wonderful, refreshing, frank. It addressed all the issues
And accurate in it.
and accurate, exactly what you said. It dealt with the moral issues, it dealt with the sexual issues, the sexual repression that young men go through, and the whole idea of accepting children who probably are surrogate, and it said everything. And what she says, mainstream vehicle, everyone enjoyed it. It was perfect storytelling, wonderful, I won't use the word comical, wonderful humorous dialogue which conveyed reality, you know. So to achieve that level, I would still say that it has been the advent of the advertising mind that has come into mainstream Indian film. There are some brilliant filmmakers. It's R. Balki, who had done this film called Pa, whether it's Sujit Sarkar, who's done this for Vicky Donor, or you know, I mean there are a lot of the latest, this Vinyl Thomas or Vinyl Thomas, his name, which is done Hasi to Phasi. It's an unusual character who is the leading lady. So what I'm saying is medical issues which were not addressed at all are very beautifully and subtly being woven into stories today. I'm not trying to say there's 100% improvement, but even if it is 30%, I think it's a great leap forward over the last 15 years.
No, it's 100% improvement in terms of whatever it is that's happening is happening 100%
Where we
better.
are, which is why I said it's a very interesting cusp, because where we are, it's not that we are alone in saying what we are saying.
Yeah.
The entire industry is in tandem with each other, and in fact yesterday we were at a channel and the brief we were being given was so beautiful, because Prateek Shiv and me were sitting in that briefing and we said, oh wow, I mean we are hearing what we want to hear. So everybody's today become very alert, very aware, and they've realized the, you know, like I say, the power that entertainment has to propel efforts to bring that change and make that change happen. And yes, the idea of writing along with expert opinion is still at a baby, still at a baby stage. That I know, and I think most of my colleagues here would agree, it's a time factor and an economic factor.
I think it's more than that. I think we didn't have the awareness that we should do that.
But we do have it today.
Now when you have the awareness,
Now we have access to information.
I'm in agreement with you. Now we are aware.
Yeah, people weren't aware that they should be conscious of
that. We are aware now. We are, our entire fraternity is aware now. Our young aspirants who are stepping into the business are more than aware now, more aware than even us were, and they all want that, no, we want to be correct. But the things that stop us are, I think, even more than economics, is the time factor. And that too is changing, and I'm sure, because now we are talking of finite stories in television.
I don't think it takes that much time.
You know, but one thing what I noticed was in this journey of Indian cinema which I'm talking about, you see, our social conditioning plays a very important role in the way our cinema has shaped up. And Vinda, there are a lot of health issues. I won't even use the word issue. Health issue origin, which is not
taboos of some sort?
no, which are connected with taboo. You're very right. So to even break that, and for especially women to come forward and equate their ideas with men and then go forward, let's say to talk about family planning, or let's say to talk about marriage counseling, or let's say to talk about, as we all know, the gender issues, whether they want to get rid of a female fetus or not. All this has now improved, I think, because of education. And slowly, and though we turn on and say there's no education, it has filtered down.
No, we are talking, why we keep saying that this is an interesting cusp, because everything is growing as we are.
Yeah.
So are we, and so is education growing, awareness growing, sensitivity growing, everything is growing together. However, the loss of lives is also growing.
Yes.
The loss of the number of women and the number of children who die every single day is also growing. And that is where the paradox lies. That's what we would love for Dr. Datar to address with us and to tell us a few things which are his observations and his understanding of how we can be as a world of entertainment
Mutually
really
useful.
helpful to the
I think I consider myself to be on the receiving end of what you all guys do. Yeah.
Yes.
Because this is what we see, actually speaking, on the ground level, and which is typically speaking an impact of what people learn from films or media or whatever that's there, which creates a kind of an impression in their minds, and they want that impression to be somewhere tallied, actually speaking, with the ground reality, particularly when it goes to healthcare.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I distinctly do remember a couple of years back, actually speaking, there was one, patient actually and her relatives, 2 or 3 males were there along with that patient, father, etc., etc. And that woman was actually speaking, was in absolute need of immediate blood transfusions. Yeah. And I was literally speaking from my bottom of heart, I was almost like urging that you have got to arrange this and all that kind of a stuff. And all of them were sitting, नहीं वो तो हो जाएगा.
Oh, what they were going to?
So I said that what do you mean हो कैसे जाएगा, because it takes 24 to 40. नहीं उसमें कोई problem नहीं है, वो तो हो जाएगा. So then later on I found out that they were under that typical kind of an impression, you know, which from the old 1970s Amitabh Bachchan, Nirupa Rai type
Yeah,
of
exactly.
cinemas, you know, where Amitabh Bachchan's blood is taken and he directly transfused to Nirupa Rai and all that. And to top it all, in the childhood, like films like Amar Akbar Anthony, where all 3 of them,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. Both of them.
all 3 bottles getting mixed into, collected into one bottle, and then that bottle being given to
See,
the mother.
totally
Yeah.
bizarre.
In
Totally
ancient
bizarre.
India, we never had blood groups. You only had family groups. You know, actually, we should use this actually as a scene in a film. That did no incubation, 24-hour cooling period for the blood. They don't know that such a thing
The
exists.
problem is this, that because of these kinds of things that are being shown, actually what happens is down the line people have some weird kind of ideas, because one person said that how can you assure that that blood will be safe? I said why it would not be safe, because all investigations are done. No, but वो तो ऐसा निकाल के bottle उल्टा करके दे देते हैं ना. So how would you ensure that the blood is safe? I mean, typically speaking, particularly as a gynecologist, because particularly pregnancy and childbirth actually is not only a medical issue, but actually speaking, it's more like a social or a family issue.
yeah.
There are a lot of involvements from a lot of people who probably don't have, as it is, we don't have great sex education in itself in the first place.
Great.
Yeah, we have.
Any sex education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I was just trying to be polite, actually.
That's
And on
again
the
social
top-
conditions.
Yes. And on the background of that, actually speaking, I mean, that's the primer, and on the basis of that, some kind of misconceptions which are created because of the media, particularly films, etc., etc. So these kinds of things. There was one. I mean, this happens all the time. Actually speaking, now I've started conducting special workshops called Janani, you know, which are antenatal or prenatal classes, where I've started telling people that if you start having some kinds of pains which is close to delivery, yeah, please don't rush the way a Hindi movie heroine rushes to the hospital. Yeah. So we have actually created a checklist that, okay, you have this checklist with you, check yourself. If your score is more than blah blah blah, then that's the time to come to the hospital, because there have been incidences where people have forgotten their keys at home and locked their doors. Reports at home and locked their doors. Baby locked inside and they have ran to the hospital, and all sorts of funny, stupid and miserable things, you know, that have happened, literally speaking. So, I mean, of course, as you said rightly, you know, somebody checking the pulse and saying that you are not pregnant and you are pregnant, and of course, fortunately, at least in today's days, probably it doesn't happen. But I do remember 15 years back or 16 years back, there was one patient. Actually, my colleague gynecologist was saying that that patient was actually speaking unhappy, because he said, "ये डॉक्टर को तो कुछ पता ही नहीं चलता, उसने तो पल्स देखा और बताया नहीं मुझे, टेस्ट करने को बोला." उसने ऐसे ही टेस्ट करने का बोला, but तो you know, तो ऐसे बताया नहीं मुझे, टेस्ट करने को बोला, मतलब क्या? I mean, this is the kind of impressions that people get. I mean, Three Idiots for that matter. Of course, I mean, I have got fantastic regards in that sense in terms of Three Idiots. As a gynecologist, they have really made my life very easy because they have shown about vacuum being used for delivery. So nowadays, people don't ask questions about vacuum. Ah, वो तो आमिर खान का है, वो लगाओ, no problem. So they have made my life simple, but at the same time, I mean, couple of kinds of shots, which is like turning the baby when the patient is in labor, or there is a kind of a covering sheet. I mean, of course, I mean, we do understand that nobody can show the private parts of the woman or whatever that, which is absolutely understandable. But I mean, it's like a shot that, you know, the woman is covered with a bed sheet and the doctor lifts the bed sheet, puts his hand, his ring inside, and now what he is looking in that dark, God alone knows, and how he comes out. Even similar kinds of things, I sometimes feel whether they are, I mean, I don't know whether they are really related, whether they would be, or they are the distant manifestations of what kind of impressions we have. I mean, if you see that kind of a shot in Three Idiots where that that old fellow is put onto the kinetic Honda kind of a small bike and three people drive in, and you know, they straight away gusafai their gadi into the ICCU and some doctor is there, and you know, all that kind of a thing. So that sense of heroism, you know, which has been shown, you know, I mean, we do understand that the films, I mean, you have to have that starkness, you know, you have to have that dramaticism which has to be involved for the people to catch the ideas and they get into that.
Doing it in real life,
They literally,
someone turning up at the ICCU on a motorcycle.
I mean, so sometimes, I mean, this incidents in Solapur, where three police officers actually were taking a woman, I mean, they were doing a great service of taking that woman who was in labor to a hospital. They took her to a government hospital. Now, government hospital is a very busy place. They have a casualty, etc. These guys were not aware where to take the woman. And on the top of it, being police officers, they are expected not to ask any questions. I mean, they are supposed to reach at the right place. I mean, you are not supposed to ask police officer. So they caught hold of one guy in between who was in an apron, who was a bichara junior doctor, who was taking a patient for a CT scan. So he was accompanying some other patient who was serious to a CT scan hospital. And they said, no, you must take care of this patient. We have brought this patient. She has got problem with labor and all that. You must attend her right now. But he said, but I am taking this patient to CT scan. So you go to that place. This is where the department is, and you go to that place, and you know, there are people there sitting on emergency duty. They'll take care of. So these people got so bugged, they said, no, how can you do that? You are supposed to look after emergency. They thrashed that doctor there only.
My God.
Okay, now imagine a situation, now if that CT scan fellow, that patient who was being accompanied by that doctor, now if that CT scan fellow, that patient who was equally serious, if he would have gone because of being not attended, if he would have died or something of that sort, whose responsibility it would have been?
Exactly.
Yeah, so this kind of heroism sometimes can create you know, major problems. Now they may be distantly related, they may not be related. I do not know whether what kind of impressions they would have.
If
But
they're related, it's a sad commentary.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's true.
yes.
You know?
If people are influenced by what they see in a film, then that's too bad. It's almost as good as hearing a Sardarji joke and saying all Sardarjis are idiots.
Yeah.
Or, you know, hearing,
I don't agree
they're
with
anecdotal.
that.
This is something that I've always tried to explain whenever I've gone to meet film stars to work in my films. That this is an actual experience I've had when I went into Azamgarh and I saw a calendar. You know, these calendars which are made, homemade calendars. And there was Ram and Sita, and Ram's face had Shah Rukh Khan and Sita's face had Aishwarya Rai. Now, that is religious integration. It doesn't matter whether you're a Muslim or whether you're the Hindu. So when I told Aishwarya, I said, do you know the power that you have over these people? You come into one important socially purposeful film a year, it will create a huge impact, which they do in Hollywood. I would say 90% of film stars of repute over there do get involved in production or in acting or in direction in socially purposeful film. The power of the film star is very, very huge. Augustine, who belongs to your organization, told me that when Mr. Amitabh Bachchan spoke for the polio vaccine, it was huge.
Yes.
They achieved nearly 100% those 2 years.
Today, the fact that we are a polio-free country is thanks to the massive effort made by him.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. So, you know,
I would just like to make one small comment in terms of how unintentional, I mean these are all unintentional things, but what kind of deep impact they could really cause into many other times the thinking minds as well, actually speaking. And this, I faced this problem when I was defending the case of my patient Niketa Mehta. I mean, just to give you a background, particularly for those who do not know about it, in 2008 there was a woman called Niketa Mehta who came to me saying that she wants to have an abortion done of her fetus, which was found to be having serious abnormalities in the heart of the baby, but she was beyond 20 weeks of pregnancy, and the Indian law does not allow termination beyond 20 weeks of pregnancy. I mean, if she was below 20 weeks of pregnancy, for the same problem, abortion would have been given to her. But it is, and that too, it's not her fault. I mean, doctors have diagnosed it late, so that's not her fault, for which she is being punished by the law. I mean, that's what was the contention, really speaking. Now the funniest part of the story is this, that we do know that we have got sex selection and sex selective abortions and all those kinds of a thing, which is a big menace and which should not be the case, and there is no doubt about that particular aspect. So there is absolutely no doubt that, you know, you can't have that kind of a skewed ratio of male and female, etc. So there is no question about that. Now, in order to kind of, you know, get onto the minds of the people, the kind of advertisements, the kinds of the things in print or in films or whatever it may be that have been created, there's a very famous kind of a concept, you know, which is like an unborn baby, unborn female child from the womb is talking to her mother. You know, that's a concept which is used every now and then. Now, the difficulty is that because of this concept which has hit so hard into the minds of right up to the judge, that when I was arguing, I mean, I am the petitioner, by the way, I am a petitioner in the matter, and I used to argue the matter myself only in the court of law many of the times, because I am also a lawyer, though I am not a practicing lawyer.
That's why we have you here, because
Yeah.
you're such a rare combination.
So the judge would say, no, but that would amount to killing, because he has that impression of an unborn child talking to the mother. So he said that, well, that would amount to be killing. So I said that, sir, the life can technically be demonstrated by doing sonography at the age of 6 weeks. So your existing MTP Act, which is allowing termination up to 20 weeks, also can technically mean killing if that is the case. So then what's the difference between an abortion and a killing? So there's humanization of an unborn fetus, you know, which is done with good intention, you know, suddenly finds itself to be in a side effect kind of a format, you know, when an issue of abortion comes into the picture, because you are actually denying the right of that woman who is in need of that right to execute, which the law has partially given to her just because of this kind of an impression. So to cut it short, I always thought that you filmmakers are the menace.
But I'm going to take on I'm going to take on that contention, because you're ascribing it to the judge and actually you're trivializing the judge's mind. Let me tell you, what is the biggest problem in the US right now? Abortion law. More than drugs, more than anything. Now that's a first world country. Those are highly educated
life,
people.
right
So you're wrong. It's not about the fetus talking to the child. There's nothing mythological about this. This is an issue which is very personal to people. And it's a religious issue as well. Look at that girl Savita, the dentist who died in Ireland last year. So I'll give you enough first world examples. So that you're trivializing the judge may be super intelligent and super well educated and may not be influenced by film as you're suggesting.
I said that it might have been distantly related, so I have never said that I'm a lawyer, so I would not get myself involved.
You're very clever.
Second important thing which I would just try to clarify is the contention with which I come from is very simple. That if you as a country, are pro right to life, then you should not have an abortion law in the picture at all. If you are having an abortion law, that means you are technically speaking allowing an abortion to happen for the same medical condition, Just because somebody is below 20 weeks, somebody is above 20 weeks, 20 weeks limit is an arbitrary limit which has got no significance of any nature at all. It doesn't mean that 20 weeks and one day the child is going to, the fetus is going to survive outside the mother's womb.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just...
So my
I
contention
agree.
was that if your law from 1971 is allowing abortion, I am not talking to a US state government which doesn't have a law on abortion
it does. Different states have
to
different
make
laws.
a kind of a
They
change.
do.
I am saying
They do have.
that your country is having a law on abortion, and not only today but from 1971. So then where is the problem, and why are you troubling a woman for no fault of hers? That is what was the contention. Okay,
Anyway,
let
now,
me.
I
I
think we
will
need to come
just
back to
yes, I will
HPH.
just come back to the issue that although
we
that is
save
what
lives through
I
entertainment?
that is
Yeah.
what I always had that thing that you are the people who are responsible for all this. The whole image actually got suddenly changed as far as I am concerned, because when I started an organization called Patient Safety Alliance actually.
Yes.
Which is working, which is probably the first organization in this country which works on patient rights in terms of reducing medical errors. So we empower patients on one hand, and we also support healthcare professionals ultimately to reduce medical errors. So when we do that kind of a work, really speaking, I realize that how much difference it can really make. Yeah, because the kind of an impact which you people are able to make onto so many thousands and lakhs and millions of people, really speaking. So we have tried to use, actually speaking, in our own small way. I mean, I don't think that it can be really compared to a kind of a film or whatever in terms of whatever content or quality or whatever. But we still tried to kind of do some very, very, very small films to make a change in the thinking process of people. Yeah. And I think I have got those one or two, one is 4 minutes clipping, which is on medication errors. Yeah. So nowadays you are reading about medication errors happening, doctors' prescriptions, bad handwriting, this, that, blah, 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 etc., etc. So we actually, and that's put onto the YouTube as well. Okay. Coincidentally, Mr. Ashish Kulkarni, who was the script writer and who shot it and all that, and Jayenda, who has acted, they voluntarily and they have honorarily kind of helped this organization to do this kind of a job. So this thing is there on the YouTube, and there's another 20 seconds small clipping, really speaking, which is on hand hygiene, because when we are in the hospitals, everybody is expected to have his hands cleaned, and typically speaking, it's probably even the doctor who may want to touch the patient, and ideally speaking, he also should have an alcohol hand rub on his hand. Yeah. Now the difficulty is this, that when we started spreading this message, many people said that, well, वो हमारा रिश्तेदार को बता देंगे, लेकिन वो डॉक्टर आएगा तो क्या करेंगे? If he is not washing hand, how do we do it? How do we tell? Suppose a senior surgeon who is of great respect and repute, he has saved your life by doing a heart surgery. Okay, are you going to tell him, what doctor, you have not washed your hands? Are you going to say that to him? So how do you handle this situation? Yeah. So then we thought, what could be the thing? How do we break this kind of an ice? Yeah. And on that we created a small 20-second clipping. So in terms of this particular issue of prenatal care, simple things, like what food to eat, simple things that they need to visit the hospitals. Now government hospitals, technically speaking, have a scheme, really speaking, that if you have a delivery in the hospital, then the government pays certain amount of money to that woman. At RN Cooper Hospital, we deliver to the tune of about 7,000 patients per year,
Right.
who are completely uneducated. They don't have any access to these things. The municipal corporation pays and gives them the medicines to take, but because the medicines don't seem very attractive in taste or color or whatever, they don't have great packings and all that, we found that most of our women go out of the hospital and throw that dabba of tablets into gutter, yeah, and go away and not take medicines. Yeah. So I have been very seriously thinking that if there is any intervention that can be done, at that point of time, because these women, on an average, we see 500 patients per OPD. Me means my resident doctor. I mean, I'm the honorary consultant, so I don't see them there, but the resident doctors. Yeah. And when we are doing that, our women are very easily waiting for about 2 hours before
A
they get.
television in the area
Yes.
would do the job.
Yes. Yes.
And run the
Yes.
DVD on a loop.
There is one very interesting intervention which I do not know whether may be of any great help here at this point of time to say or no, but I would just still say which is a very effective intervention. There is a channel called, or there is a TV, whatever, I don't know what they are, channel or what, they are called as Oxygen TV. Yeah?
Oh yes.
So they have said, they have gone to the clinics and they have said that they have found a business model as well, actually speaking, that they have said that we will put the TV in your clinic.
Right.
Yeah, and what you have to show is, whatever we'll give you, you have to just show it, that's it. Yeah. So even in my clinic, yeah, when patients are waiting outside,
Right.
yeah, I put that oxygen channel thing, and I have put many of these things into my own clinic that thing, So simple things like this Patient Safety Alliance has created certain forms which are freely downloadable. You can download it, helps communicating with the doctor.
Right.
Yeah, there's a checklist that we have created so that when you get admitted, you just do that checklist and come to the hospital. So many things can be sorted out, errors related. But somebody needs to tell कि ये important है, ये आपको करना है. Just keeping it passively on the website does not work. Similar intervention we did. There is a kind of a safe surgery checklist. Many of you all might have read that book of Dr. Atul Gawande, famous fellow from United States, Checklist Manifesto. He has demonstrated that the errors can be reduced by 33% as far as surgeries and mortalities are concerned. But the problem is people don't want to use it. Yeah, so on my website one day I was trying to implement that in various hospitals I go, and one day I got very frustrated because people come up with some things and they somebody says कि तो क्या एक नया पेपर एक गधे लोग है कुछ एक नया रद्दी लाया है टिक मार्क करने के लिए So looking at all those things in my own small operation theatre, I actually kind of sort of acted and made a small video called as how not to use a checklist.
Right.
Yeah? And we shot, typically speaking, कि some nurse says, she says कि ये सब हो गया है अभी चालू करो सब हो गया है and the doctor अच्छा है हो गया हाँ तो ठीक है तो चालू कर देते हैं that kind of thing. Some other place अरे क्या checklist वगैरह चलो emergency है जल्दी that kind of a stuff So these have been small little interventions, but I have found that they make a lot of difference because that visual impression can really turn the tables really. So coming back to the point, maybe in prenatal care, issues which are related to anemia, issues which are related to regularly going for an antenatal care in itself. Now there is just about likely to get one case is likely to get filed in the Supreme Court where there is a lady with anencephaly. Now anencephaly is an abnormality when the fetus cannot ever survive. Nowhere on the earth the fetus has survived because there is no brain only which develops. Yeah? Okay, so technically speaking, I mean the countries like UK, countries like all other places in the world where technically other abortions are prohibited, abortion for anencephaly is allowed because there is no life, there is no right to life because there is no possibility of existence. Yeah. Now this lady came to a hospital after 20 weeks only. For the first time she came only after 20 weeks. Yeah. Now what do? She is beyond 20 weeks. The law of the land doesn't allow you to do. So she was made to carry the whole pregnancy, go through all those social, वो आपका गोद भरण and all that kind of stuff. When she is told by the doctors कि इसमें कुछ होने वाला नहीं है.
How sad.
Yeah, and on the top of it, because of that other complications like lot of water getting engorged and this and that, she had to go through a labor for 3 days.
God.
Doctors had told her that you may require a C-section. Okay, when she is aware that the baby is not going to survive.
She said no.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Achha.
so they tried to kind of avoid a C-section, and they successfully did it. But the woman had to go through pain for 3 days. And the child came out, just heart was there for 1 hour and the child died. Now this could have been very easily prevented if this woman would have come to the hospital before 20 weeks, a sonography would have been done and it would have been detected.
What about when they transgress laws to abort a girl child fetus?
When you are talking of illegality,
Yes.
there is no law.
There is no law.
We are talking of law which is conducive to people who want to be
follow it,
law-abiding
yeah.
citizens of the
Yeah.
country. When you are talking of no law, तो फिर there is no law only, ना? तो फिर क्या?
But
there's nothing
doctor,
to
one
say.
more question, one last question that I have is that you are also an activist and lawyer, and therefore you would perhaps be able to answer this. Is as far as policy goes, what are the rights to health services for a pregnant, for a woman who's carrying a child, and right to pre and postnatal care. For
Yeah,
instance.
absolutely. I mean, actually speaking, literally in our rural areas, everywhere, actually
Yes.
speaking. Now, that's why I said that there are advertisements which government is putting up, saying that come to the hospital, deliver in the hospital,
Yes.
and take 5,000 rupees and go back. You know, so they want to do it, actually speaking. But as you said, you know, in those boring voices and tones and all that,
It's lost.
So the message is not.
Yeah,
the message is
lost in
No,
the message
and
is
even
lost completely.
and maybe more than that. Okay, as you said, the packaging was not good, so they're throwing the medicines.
Yeah.
The way you put the message across is highly important. If it
Very
entertains you,
important,
it's
yeah.
charming to you, you respond to it. That is
Therefore,
true.
we come back to that thing that in entertainment itself is the message.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Entertainment is a carrier of
I think even beyond that, storytelling, you use the words. I think it's a lesson of life. आपसे कोई अच्छी तरह बात करता है, आप उसकी बात respond करते हैं.
Yes.
It's as simple as
Yeah.
that. If something is told to you nicely, you listen. If somebody yells at you, you don't want to listen. You know, it's so if the it's the same. It's so simple, but the integration of a message without being pedantic is something that now the awareness is there that
Yeah.
oh, it can be done.
Absolutely.
You know, Tare Zameen Par and so many
Yeah.
Forrest Gump.
Yes.
You know, Forrest Gump was a great way of bringing autism and things like that into the open.
absolutely.
And it didn't even use the word.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
use the word.
Didn't even use the word. So there are 101 ways. So we can be socially conscious together. I guess it can be a great way. It really can.
I think, though I do believe that now that we have a little organization like this called the Third Eye, which is offering its services, we must penetrate in a much more wider manner to entertainment all over India. Regional sections, television, radio, song and drama division, and feature films. And I'm sure there's a huge group out there who are, you know, starving for knowledge and how to represent it through their artistic expression. So I think I'm not very savvy with the latest networking systems, but I think we should also adapt what Vinta was trying to say, how to approach areas which are completely depleted from services which we in the cities have. I mean, you know, what one usually has to do is physically make that movement and go forward.
And she added for speaking well.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Datar for enlightening us so much, but I think a very interesting solo session with you with an audience would be great fun.
Yeah.
So let's plan
Yeah.
something.